I'm Julie Saunders.
I'm Jan Wilson. Julie and I both have experience as school librarians, and we've worked together as district library leaders.
In each episode, we'll dive into our profession with interviews and meaningful content to inspire you. We're not experts,
but we're pretty close.
The ideas and opinions shared by any host, guest, or listener are their own and do not represent those of any respective school district.
Welcome to Library Exchange.
Does your library's reference section contain high-interest titles that draw kids in and produce large circulation numbers? If not, welcome to Abdo Reference. Abdo Reference includes 3 great imprints that will change how you think about reference and research materials.
Imagine your students checking out high-interest library-bound titles that serve their pleasure reading needs but also do the heavy lifting of instructional support. Abdo Reference is a K-12 solution that can help put your learning dollars to the greatest advantage. Check out Abdo Reference today at abdobooks.com. Julie, stop me if you've heard this one, okay? Wait, I didn't know you could do that in the library. Or my personal favorite, I didn't know librarians did that.
Well, we've heard it more times than I can count. And to me, that's a call to action. If our community is surprised by our services, the programs we offer, the fact that we teach, it means we haven't told our story well enough yet.
True. You know, I really try hard to keep a positive attitude about this, but for so many people, the word library is stuck in a time capsule.
Yeah.
They're judging us by a stereotype from decades ago, and we all know there's only one group of people who can change it.
Exactly. In order to change that perception, we have to be intentional about our branding. And today, we're joined by someone who knows how to do exactly that. Lori McGovern is a former high school language arts teacher and middle school librarian.
Another recovering middle school educator. Bless both of you.
Loved every minute of it.
Lori now leads school libraries and media services in Newton County, Georgia, and she's a leading voice on why branding isn't just for corporations. Welcome to Library Exchange, Lori.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
So, Lori, before I ask my first question, can you just clarify how many schools you support in your district?
Absolutely. 23 schools are in Newton County.
Great. All right. So let's get right to the topic about branding. So, Lori, you've presented on this topic at conferences.
Yes.
So let's start with this question. Why does a library even need a brand?
I think a library needs a brand because people have no idea what we are doing. Every day I hear someone say, oh, absolutely, the teachers know what I do. My principal knows what I'm doing in there. And I'm thinking, no, they don't. I was somewhere today and I literally heard the words card catalog.
Oh,
what?
Yes. Now, I think they were trying to make a joke, but I'm like, my gosh, please stop. Nightmare. So, I just, people don't know and they aren't trained. We're trained as media specialists, but people in leadership roles are not trained. They know we're out there, but they aren't trained in what we're supposed to do. And so we kind of are that extra role. And I think that sometimes we get frustrated when we get handed that other duty as assigned.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because they have no idea what we are actually doing. And they think, oh, well, they have time. And then our frustration builds. And it's because we haven't clearly expressed and explained and advocated for what we're actually doing and supposed to be doing. A brand helps us do that. I know you've heard me say before that the background for me with a branding came from an unfortunate situation where I was sitting there saying, oh, everybody knows that I'm the one creating this. I'm the one providing this. And we are sharers. And I had shared a presentation, a lesson with someone only to find out that that person said, oh, this is mine. And it was kind of like, okay, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. Now I'm putting my name on the test paper, so to speak. This is the product of media services. And I think people say, well, I don't want to take all this credit. It's not me. You're right. It's not necessarily you. It is the library. It is the media program. So when you brand something, you're not sitting there and saying, it's the Lori McGovern show. Y'all didn't name the podcast Jen and Julie's House of Fun.
That might have been one of the names we went through, though.
I know.
Originally.
I know it was your first choice, right? But you named it after your mission in your vision, Library Exchange. So your brand is your mission vision. And so you tie it to your school, you tie it to your media program. And that's what branding becomes. And then you put it on everything because people don't know that you're the one putting up the potty PD in the teacher bathroom about the latest cool tech tip that they needed to know. They don't know that you're the one collaborating with, sorry, Jan, 7th grade social studies for the research lesson. They didn't know that you're the one who did all the background to make that research project flow and work the way it needed to. They think you're just the one in there doing, they don't know what, eating bonbons, I guess. So they need to see your branding, your program information on those items.
Lori, you need to do the Waffle House effect or explain it that you've said to me before for those people who haven't heard it. Because I asked you, where should we be putting our brand?
Waffle House hash brown. You smother and cover. You put it everywhere. The first place I say is add it to your email signature. You add it onto any presentations, any flyers, anything you produce, because the first thing you're going to notice is somebody says, that came from you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a media specialist right now. She's making the school newsletter every week. I'm like, you're making it every week.
Wow.
It's a lot. And she says, yes, but I get to put anything I want in it. And I'm like, okay.
That's a way to look at the positive side.
It's a way to look at the positive. So there's a giant little section in there with her, but she has her logo, she has her little branding, and she's got her little section in there every week that talks about what she's doing with teachers and everything. So it's a good trade-off, I guess. But that's, you scatter, cover, and smother. You got to get it out there everywhere and be consistent with it.
Yeah. So Lori, this speaks to the fact that, as we've talked before, if we don't define who we are, other people will do it for us. Yes. And that's how we stay stuck in that time capsule mentioned earlier. But shifting the mindset with librarians can be a huge task for some of them. So where do you start with teaching librarians to create a local brand that feels authentic? How do you get them started?
I think the easiest thing to do is the logo, simply because it's an image with very few words, because you could simply say your school name and media center, or your school name, media services, your letters or something. If your school is really focused on a mission or a vision, phrasing or wording, you can include that. But your school also has a mascot. So if that's really important to your school, that's an easy add-on as well. Your school colors, that's an easy place to start. So those are easy things to latch onto and give you something to start with. And then now, when I started this, oh my gosh, probably 10 years ago, we were in clip art world. Nowadays, you have Canva, you have Adobe, you've got all these different items and programs that you can go in and say, I want to make a logo. I want to create a brand kit. And it's like, well, let's go, and you can sit there and play with it. And it's got templates you can work with, and you can make it anything you want to. And you can put in your color codes, or you can say, can you give me some color combinations? And it just rocks it out for you. Tells you the font combinations you want to use that look nice together. I mean, it is a whole world out there that's just super easy. And so I think that is kind of, if you're just thinking, this sounds like a whole lot, that is just the easiest place to start and gives you something that you can create super easy and then start slapping on everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could put you mentioned your school mascot. You could ask one of those products to put that mascot, have the books in the mascot's hands, or have that
Okay.
mascot in your space.
I really think that visual cue also just making that connection, it's less about staking your claim to what you've created.
Right.
It's more about changing that perception of the value of your role.
Right.
And so, connecting to your story that you shared earlier, that was probably less about you being upset that someone's using the things you create and more about this is what I own and this is what I can provide value for. And that's what we're trying to speak for, that librarians bring added value to that teaching and learning environment. And you want to stake your claim on that.
Right. And it's a matter of pride too. Like it's having pride in the quality of the program that you're offering. At some point, I think many of us have almost an imposter syndrome because we're singletons in our buildings, sometimes even singletons in our county. And so we think, well, what I'm doing maybe isn't that great, or everyone's doing this. Well, I tell so many people, what you're doing is great. What you're doing is fabulous. I haven't seen this everywhere. You need to take pride in what you're doing. You need to take ownership of what you're doing. Your program is amazing. Put a logo on it, stake your claim, and be willing to share it. Don't be embarrassed. It's amazing. Let's share it and let's put it out there. I really think, too, that that's part of that whole branding advocacy piece that people kind of have a hesitancy about.
So in addition to logo creating and having all these tools, what do you do with your librarians in your district to try to teach them about messaging? What types of examples do you give for that?
We have tried a little bit of everything, and it's because one size doesn't fit everybody, right? It's finding that thing that works for you. So we have tried different social media pieces. For some of my media specialists, social media is fantastic. They are all over it. They know what kind of photo collaging they want to do. They have their hashtags. They know who they're going to tag every time. If you're going to do social media, obviously you need to know what your county policies are. And I always say it's great to know who and where your kids are, but also you need to know where the people are who sign your contract, because that's often not the same place. So, for example, if we're sharing professionally, our county is still on X. So that's where we need to share. If we're sharing professionally outside that world, that might be different. But if we're trying to share in a place where we want our principals and above to see, that's where we need to be. Some people are on there and we talk about who you need to tag. Please know the superintendent's handle. Please know the press person's handle. For others, they really do well with a newsletter or kind of a little what's happening in the space. We have one. She has a Bulldog News. Why Bulldog? There's our mascot. And it was great. She shared it with the group and it kind of latched on. It's a one pager. It has like 3 different things on there. So nothing that's terribly overwhelming. It's a picture and a snippet. So it might be a contest. It might be circulation. Holy cow, we got new books and this is what happened. It might be lessons that we did. It might be we had a guest speaker come in. It just kind of depends on the month. But she has her template ready to go. And then she can just fill in the blanks. So for a lot of our people, that really works. Where does she send it? She emails it out to the faculty. She'll put it on the school website. That's another a duty as assigned that I'm like, make it work for you. If you are the school webmaster, make it work for you.
Yeah.
You know?
can you touch on word choice? You've spoken before
Mhm.
about why it's important. For example, you write in the caption of that picture, so that we add value to our roles.
Yes. We've been talking this year, in Georgia, we've had a change in ELA standards. And so the wording of things that we're doing, and we've studied the standards a lot, and I've really had a principal last spring, come to one of my media specialists. Now, you talk about a crackerjack all-star media specialist, just out of this world. And he says, "What are you doing to impact student achievement?"
Oof.
And she was floored. I was floored. I'm like, yeah. Because she is, like, she's truly doing those things. So then I thought, okay, well, if we're needing to obviously address these things, let's target these new standards. And what I realized is when we're doing these lessons, we're oversimplifying what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying, oh, well, we're having a story time today, or students are getting to do X, Y, and Z. No, you're providing an opportunity. You're creating an experience for students to X, Y, and Z. Story time. I know darn well that one of my media specialists called something story time, but students were answering questions based on pictures. Well, in Georgia, multimodal texts are a huge thing right now. If you're answering questions based on pictures in a book, that's a multimodal text.
Mm-hmm.
I know she didn't use that terminology for her lesson plan. So it's all in how you word it. Are our principals, are the people who's signing our contracts going to take notice of story time, or are they going to take notice of questioning strategies and multimodal text?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So it's great because the librarians are doing the same types of lessons that they've always
Mhm.
been doing. It's just tweaking their wording and how the messaging is. And that takes a little bit of coaching, but that little bit of effort and providing that valuable
Yes.
context, because
Yes.
the audience that's looking at social media, they don't always know what they're seeing. And what we always emphasize is really trying to break away from some of those traditional stereotypical pictures. We don't really want to have the librarian behind the circulation desk checking books out.
No.
We would
No, no,
rather
no.
have them in that reader advisory role where they're interacting with students or seeing students doing things that are engaging with quality learning experiences so that people can see that we have that instructional role. But again, a picture paints 1,000 words, but then
Yes.
that caption can really elevate
Yes.
that message to the next level with just a little bit of tweaking.
Yes. It's just all in how you say it. And I keep telling them, I said, we're not trashing everything you've always done. We're not reinventing any wheels. We're just doing small tweaks to meet the new normal, the new expectations.
Well, and we'll probably have that librarian and others prepared when they're asked, because when I'm doing a read aloud, am I teaching sequencing today, or are we making inferences? So
Exactly.
it prepares you mentally also to be able to explain what you're doing, because we did have a principal approach us, Julie, I don't know if you remember, and say, I just see my librarian reading aloud all the time.
Right.
Well, I promise you, she was doing more than just reading
Right.
aloud, but that's what they see. That's what they
Exactly.
see.
Right.
So, Lori, we've gone from the big picture of why your brand matters
Yes.
all the way down to the specific words we use. And we appreciate your expertise on this topic. Can you share how our listeners can contact you if they would like to for more information or to pick your brain?
Absolutely. Well, they can find me on X at Lori_McGovern. And I'm sure somewhere in your notes, they'll see how to spell my name.
Yes.
I'm on Instagram, not very well, but I try. Lori.McGovern.LMS, Library Media Specialist. And my email address is mcgovern.lori@newton.k12.ga.us. And I always do my best to get back and in touch with people because I always want to help people. But Sometimes it takes me a minute, so I do beg people's patience.
Well, thank you so much, Lori. I mean, this was very helpful. I think people that are already doing great things in their library sometimes just need a reminder of simple things that they can do. And these were
Yes.
some good tips that you provided today for our listeners.
Yes, I think everybody just needs to remind you're already doing great things. You're already doing wonderful things. It's just tiny little tweaks to make sure everybody sees that you're doing those wonderful things.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, Julie. I love being here.
We've exchanged ideas. It's time for the recap, Julie. And since I get fired up about this topic and people sometimes misread my passion, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, branding is an important thing to consider using in your library, partly because it helps others understand what you should be doing and what a librarian should be doing. It's really helpful for those in roles in your building that are creating schedules and making decisions that might affect your library program as well.
I didn't think about that piece. My takeaway after Lori's interview is we need to show the work instead of just the stuff. So I hope this episode inspires librarians to create a brand and then take that and make a plan. It's that important, even though most people will say, I didn't go to school for marketing. I don't have a marketing degree. But let's do more than talk about it. Let's do something about it.
Absolutely. So she really reminds us that you should put your brand on everything. And the library logo is a good place to start that advertises your library programming visually, and it also aligns to your school's brand or colors. That's a good suggestion that she gave us. One of the things that she mentioned too is sharing programming and library services that when you're doing that on social media, you should really be intentional. She mentioned having templates ready to go to be helpful, and understanding who to tag and who to mention is also helpful depending on the type of post.
Right, because that wording is important. So this made me reflect back to 2011. So that's 15 years ago.
Ooh.
Okay. I was in my 15th year as a school librarian. So I was considered a veteran, but it was only my second year at a high school. I worked for a principal who shared the same mission and vision about the library space. So it was exciting to work with someone like that. So also the beginning of the change in libraries, Julie, and social media. And so along with a logo, we had huge banners printed, individual banners. Each one had a different word: evaluate, explore, create, share. We used students in the photos with permission. You couldn't miss seeing them when you walked into the library. And we chose those specific words from standards across all content areas. So intentional. And that created a lot of questions from staff, which I excitedly answered. But at the same time, we took that same color scheme, went into an area of the library and painted it with the same words. And people would say, oh, what's that? Oh, that's our instructional area where we teach. That's our designated teaching area. So all of that was part of that new brand, that we were more than just keepers of books.
Wow, great. What a great example. I love that. Another thing we have done in our department recently is tried to be more intentional about our social media posts by thinking in advance of an event. Normally we're scrambling, to try to, we've got to post about this or post about that. And so we've been, as a team, getting together and determining which events coming up we want to highlight to make sure that our branding and our messaging is intentional. We go ahead and write a caption that we would assume is going to happen, try to capture pictures to convey that message, and then take the message and put it into Magic School AI because they have such a great generator for social media. And then we just tweak it, based on what Magic School AI comes up with, and then we're ready to go to post. It's been a really eye-opening experience as a leader because now we can, as a team, we're able to discuss our philosophies and really when things align to the brand or not. So it's been a great team building activity as well to make sure we're intentional in our message.
Yeah. So Julia, the important thing is you don't have to post that same day. You don't have to be
Mhm.
reactionary in your post. Just take pictures. See, I'm getting fired up again. Sorry. Just take just take pictures and think about the message you're trying to share with your content. Are you highlighting your profession as a resource? Are you highlighting your instruction? Because the majority of content out there is event-based or book-focused, which doesn't tell our full story. So we may be telling our full story internally in our newsletter and if people go to our website, but I think the majority of librarians who have social media, we do take a picture of those new arrivals or our book display. And that is important, but they all still fall under the stereotype that libraries are only about books.
Right. That's important. A good point. Go ahead.
I have one more point. How about sharing those photos of the new book order and what your goal was for that order? Or if you
Mm,
have a display, what's your purpose of the display? So you could say, I'm encouraging students to check out books before a break or the weekend. Strong readers are strong learners. That's what we want people to hear.
right. And I think it's important to realize that people out there already know that we handle books. We
Hmm.
get books to kids. They already know that's part of the library role, but showing the reader advisor part of that role or other aspects of the book handling rather than the traditional viewpoints. I think that's what we've tried to convey as leaders, that we want those instructional tasks and standards and strategies to be highlighted, but also not just the book handling, what you're doing
Hmm.
with the books, right?
Yeah. So along with the brand, you could create a monthly award or however often you want to present it. So you could ask your principal for 3 minutes at a faculty meeting, telling him or her that you want to highlight collaborations or
Mm.
instructional wins that you had with a teacher. So Julie, I used an AI generator for a minute and some examples. You could give away the perfect blend award, that you collaborated with a teacher. Teachers have a lot of coffee mugs, so give them a gift card for coffee. Make it fun, but again, you're recognizing that instructional partnership. And then lastly, this is in honor of Lori, the Hash Brown Award. Okay? Thanks for no, thanks for helping us smother and cover our students with resources this month.
Oh, cute.
And I looked it up. You can buy 4 mini spatulas from Walmart for $4.09. Spray paint them gold and
That's great.
give away uh, give away a golden spatula because you have all of the teachers' attention at a faculty meeting because you're someone different speaking. So that's just another way to highlight that instructional role with your brand.
You know what? I knew there was a reason you got the Georgia Media Specialist of the Year one year. All these creative ideas, it's amazing. I appreciate you sharing those, and I know our listeners will too. So,
I just told you I used AI. I used AI, but I did give away a golden fly swatter, and I won't get into that. And there was a lot of competition for who was going to get a golden fly swatter. I'm not kidding. I'm not
I
kidding.
believe you. I believe you. Teachers are competitive. So, branding is super important to help others see that the school librarian is an instructional role, as we've mentioned, and that you are a valuable part of the school. And as Lori mentioned, it usually just takes some small tweaks in the communications that you are already doing to elevate your role to others.
Yes. Have a great week, everyone.
Make sure to visit our website at www.libraryexchangepodcast.com.
You'll find episode notes and links. You can even submit your questions or inspiring stories that may be featured on the podcast.
If you're looking for some swag for your library or book-loving friends, visit libraryexchange.etsy.com.
That's a lot of URLs, so I'm glad you had to say all of that, Julie.
Thanks for joining us. We can't wait to have you back for our next episode of Library Exchange.